What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Speak from the Heart, a testimonial podcast series where athletes share the story behind their faith. I'm Cole Reynolds, your host, and today I'm joined by professional baseball player Thomas Collins. So, Thomas, really excited to have you on today, man.
I appreciate it. I'm real excited.
So, I'll kind of go with your backstory a little bit. Take us back to growing up in Newnan, Georgia. How did your family and upbringing shape who you are today?
So I got an interesting family. My dad was drafted twice, once out of high school and then once out of Southern Union, where I went to junior college, um, where he met my mom. She was an athlete as well, so both parents are athletes. And my mother's side, we have Olympic uh, weightlifters.
Wow.
So whole family, big athletes.
Hmm.
Me, my sister, mother, dad, all good athletes. Dad ended up going to after junior college. He didn't take his offer to go to play pro ball. He went to Auburn, then went to Jacksonville State to play, and then played independent baseball until he was done.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So I would say, growing up, I kind of felt like I wanted to live up to my dad's
Oh,
standards
yeah.
of
For sure.
also being drafted out of high school. I definitely could not have been drafted out of high school though. I was too
Mhm.
small, was too weak. I That's just kind of how it was for me. I
Yeah.
didn't start hitting my growth spurt until late into high school, and then I didn't even get to get strength or even speed until I was a junior, I'd say in
Hmm.
college. That's when
Hmm.
everything started clicking. So but I was always a really good hitter. My dad was a really good hitter. I give him ton of props, even though I bull crap with him all the time. And I'm better than you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he was a really good hitter. And so he taught me how to hit.
Hmm.
And being a little guy, obviously he had to just learn how to get on base. I was always the scrappy lefty that bunted and hit the opposite way and beat things out and just learned the game the right way is
Hmm.
how I would like to describe it.
Yeah.
So growing up, that was my mentor through baseball,
Yeah.
and it led me to he was my coach up until I graduated. So he kept teaching me, kept teaching me, kept teaching me, and eventually I got to my senior year of high school. I had gotten a little bit bigger, just a little bit, but not anything like ugh.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually tore my ACL going into it was like November of the senior year.
Hmm.
So regardless of COVID, I actually wasn't going to be able to get to play that senior year,
Yeah.
um, which that hurt right off the
Yeah.
get go. Luckily for me, through that time, I was able to share my thoughts and um, I guess, my story to people because I was an FCA leader at my high school. I was well known throughout the community of athletes around our county because I led FCA and I would go to events and I would speak to people, very personable with people. So I
Hmm.
love talking to people. And I would go to elementary schools, middle schools, other high schools, and just talk to people. Everyone sees I'm in the leg brace. So you
Yeah.
talk to people and you're like, yeah, I was going to be the shortstop at Newnan this past year.
Hmm.
And the year before, we made a very big run in 7A baseball here in Newnan or here in Georgia. So
Hmm.
that's pretty big.
Yeah.
We made it to, I think, we made it to the Elite Eight and ended up just getting beat by a team with a bunch of guys going to Georgia.
Yeah. That's
So we made a little bit of noise, and so we were highly anticipated for the next year.
hmm.
And I was one of those pieces in that junior year. So now the senior year comes along, and you kind of are expected to be a big piece in this year's thing. It's kind of how I went through senior year, and then
Hmm.
obviously COVID hit
Yeah.
in February, which kind of hurt everybody.
Hmm.
I actually, I, I hate to say it, but it was kind of good for me.
Yeah.
COVID was kind of good because nobody got to play, so that means I didn't get to play. This gave me the time to just heal my leg, get back to going and playing, and
Hmm.
right right when I tore my knee, I ended up committing to Southern Union.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a ton of offers that I was insanely like pumped about.
Hmm.
Um, all D2, or actually, I'd say D3 and junior colleges, the D2 schools I really, really wanted to go to. They were, I wanted to go to Columbus State and I wanted to go to North Georgia. Those were the two big ones, probably
Yeah.
North Georgia. They were very interested. And then they told me I was too small and I was too slow and I could not compete at their level. So I ended up taking the best thing I had. I thought was Southern Union, which is only an hour away. Happened to be where my parents went,
Okay.
which is a bonus.
Yeah.
So I ended up going there. I had no money. Uh, I didn't even realize it till I got there, but I wasn't even supposed to play. I was not. I met some guys that I met some teammates and met this one guy. I was supposed to play second base though, so I thought this other guy was really, really good. And
Hmm.
he definitely was better than me. Like I can sit there and you want to sit there and tell something, like look at somebody, as an athlete, you're like, I'm better than that guy. I
Hmm.
was, I was not better than this guy. So I was not supposed to play. He ended up screwing around in school, flunked out. And so a spot opened up in at the start of the season, and I just happened to be there and I
Yeah.
ended up playing, and I played very, very well. I think for my freshman year, I batted like 330, I
Yeah.
think. 330, which wasn't anything like absurd. But then I got to the conference tournament at the end of the year,
Hmm.
and I really showed out against like number one team in the nation, like Chattahoochee Valley at the time. I had a bunch of guys going to Auburn, Tennessee,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to be a game. There was a lot of pro scouts and D1 scouts looking at it because it was ace versus ace in the entire conference.
Hmm.
Guy going to Troy, guy going to Auburn, like two really good guys, and it ended up being a hit fest.
Yeah.
Just somehow, some way, just one of those games where all the hitters are just in sync for
Hmm.
every team. And I ended up being a double from the cycle and just turned the heads of some D1 schools. Not nothing major, but like Jacksonville State, South Alabama, EKU,
Yeah.
some of those schools.
Hmm.
And so going into the next year, oh, I forgot to mention that this was the year that it was 2021 season. So every JUCO player was supposed to get their COVID year. Like
Yeah.
halfway through the year, they said, you know what, JUCO, because it's going to be too much to talk about, like when it comes to it, everyone's just going to get a free year. That's it. Just make it simple. Every JUCO guy, and everyone's like, all right. So we have 5 years of college sports. All right, that's it.
Hmm.
I ended up going back my second year back to there because my coach was still there. Um, and he was the one getting me all the phone calls with I'll never forget first D1 phone call was with Eastern Kentucky. I was more excited than I could have ever been. I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I love it. I want to go. I want to go.
Yeah.
I was never able to get an offer, but I was able to get phone calls.
Hmm.
And my phone call stopped at the end of the fall because my coach left and he went to take a head coaching job or not a head, an assistant coaching job at Auburn.
Okay.
So that kind of screwed some of his players that he was getting phone calls for,
Hmm.
ones that wanted to play other places and were good enough to go play at these other places. So I went and was supposed to have a good year at at Southern Union for my second year, but I don't know what it was. I honestly I like to say it was the Lord's plan because I truly didn't have a bad year. I had less than 10 strikeouts the entire year and I batted 260. Like I can't describe to you how many balls I hit right at people and like I wish I could make it up. Like
Yeah.
there was a weekend I will never forget it. I went 1 for 10 with 9 lineouts
Hmm.
to the center fielder.
Jeez. Hey,
I will.
that's the good result though. That's what you want.
It is, and it is, but it was incredibly frustrating
Oh yeah,
because I
100%.
was smoking baseballs. Like I was hitting them out very well for me,
Hmm.
and I ended up batting 260. I hit more doubles, um, but like that was tough whenever you get a coach that's new to that school because we had our assistant coach just bumped up to the head coaching job, and when he's making phone calls, you're like he's a good hitter, and he's like, well, I'm looking at it, he's batting 250 right now,
Yeah.
and you're like, I know, but you have to just take my word on it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about stats, especially batting average. It doesn't tell the full story. So, I mean, you
It
could
really
be a
doesn't.
dude that absolutely mashes baseballs just right at people, and that's just it's an out. It looks like a complete failure on the stat sheet, but that doesn't show you the process. And so I think
Oh,
that's why most of the time stats are, especially batting averages, look not really necessarily like an essential thing that coaches necessarily look for all the time. They do look at hard hit ball averages, how hard you hit the ball, how often, like quality at bats, all that stuff. You know, I mean, you already know the full
oh
story
yeah.
of that, but yeah, no, I man, whatever. 260 with lining out everywhere, that's completely fine with me.
I, to me, it was fine too, but it just wasn't like personally, it was fine because I'm like, I know I'm doing what I need to do.
Right,
But then
exactly.
there's that part
That's
of
the
you.
reason why I say it's okay. Is because you're doing your job, like you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're hitting line drives, and they just happen to. I mean, you could do everything right and still be it's still a failure, which is
That
it's hard
proves
to
why
understand
baseball has
sometimes.
got to be the hardest mental sport that there ever is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because you're
Yeah,
doing
110%.
everything possible that you can do. You're doing
Yes.
everything that you were taught, and you're failing.
Hmm.
Like that's what the book says. That's what
Exactly right.
somebody will say. You failed, but
Hmm.
you did it right.
Yeah,
That's like
100%.
getting 100 on your test, but your teacher saying, "I'm sorry, but you didn't show your work."
Yeah, exactly
Still a
right.
failure.
And I think in that you just got to really trust in the Lord. And I think in Proverbs 3 verse 5 it talks about trusting the Lord with all your heart, leaning not on our own understanding. And it's not all about the outcomes and the final say of what happens. It's more of the process that matters more. And the coaches that really truly care about their players and really, I guess, are all in on people, they focus more on not what your stats say, what numbers value to you. It's
Hmm.
more how's this guy compete? How's this guy's personality? And you just happen to like, man, you just ran into some bad luck. And good coaches will see that. And they'll be like, okay, this dude's crushing the ball to center, right at the center fielder. That's the result that you want. You want to hit line drives back up the middle, just right at the guy. So I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's just how it was. I
Yeah.
will say, unfortunately, like hindsight, looking back to it, it like if I hit those balls like I do now, I'm burning the center fielder. I
Hmm.
definitely was not strong enough
Yeah.
then being able to put a baseball out to center field, or even put one out to the opposite field if I need to.
Yeah.
Like my crushed baseballs then might burn us, like absolutely torch one, might burn a center fielder. But I hit them
Yeah.
good. They take two steps in, they're right there.
Yeah.
Bang.
And it's just trusting God's plan, like understanding that, man, like you're just gonna build into your body, keep on grinding. And that's the hard, like you said, baseball is such a mental sport. You can do everything right and still fail. It's coming back after those failures is one of the hardest things to do. And waking up the next day for game two, or maybe you played a doubleheader the game before, trying to finish out the series, it's 1-1. Like need you in the lineup, man. Like you gotta lock in, just stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's so hard. You just kind of flush it, man. It's almost. I think that's one of the hardest things I've ever struggled with in the game itself is really flushing failure and understanding that, man. Like you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail so much in this game. If you succeed 3 out of 10 times at the plate, which is getting hits, is succeeding, you're a Hall of Famer. So I mean, that's just the way I look at it. We play a really hard game, and it's okay. Like that failure, you just got to take it and run with it.
Sometimes you got to just sit back and think about it
Hmm. For
because
sure.
obviously you, as a competitor, you expect perfection
Yes.
in
100%.
any aspect that you do, and
Yes.
coaches try to drill you with perfection
Right.
until you get to that point of I almost point of no return of mental status
Hmm.
that but it's just right before it to where they're like, hey, I just want to remind you, like it's hard.
Yes. And I think
It's
another
really
hard
hard.
a hard part of that is understanding that you can look back at your failure, and it's why it's so frustrating and why it's so difficult sometimes to accept is because you know you can succeed. You've hit that pitch the other way before instead of rolling it over. You've hit that ball over the fence, the ball that you probably rolled over to the third baseman. It's just it's the innate nature of the game. Like we talked about that before we started recording. But I mean that's just what it is. And I think taking that role and understanding the grind of the game, it just man, just the next day. Like give me the next day. Keep going. Those cliche statements, they really helped me propel me through my college career. And that's the only thing that's the only reason why I'm continuing to play now is to just keep going and to see it through. Because it's so easy to quit. It's so easy to be like, dang, I went 0 for 4 today. I suck. I had two Ks, a pop out and a ground out. Like I'm the worst player in the world. But man, come back the next day with your head held high and acting like you went 4 for 4 yesterday. That's the hardest challenge is to continue to be your best, show up every day, 110%. Because I mean, I won't lie to you. I've shown up the next day thinking about the past. I've held on to errors and strikeouts even in the game. Like I struggle to move on next pitch sometimes. But man, once that you complete that mental battle, I think baseball is the most mentally challenging sport, but also it teaches you so much about life.
It
Just
really
waking up the
does.
next day, man, like you just got to keep going. Like my dad always puts some perspective on it. Like I remember talking about how worried I was about the next day, worried about the game, maybe some nerves about who we're playing, just things like that. He's like, man, that's pressure for sure, but one, it's a lot going into you're doing it to yourself. That pressure is, I mean, we play a game. Like this is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to enjoy it. And we get so in our heads, we want the success so bad that we press, and we want it. You want it to happen so bad, you don't let the game come to you, and that's where success is made. I mean, you see guys in the MLB like they're not trying too hard to do what they need to do. They just go out and do it the best of their ability. If they don't, they come back the next day. So that's super important. But I actually have a question about going to Division two. So you went to JUCO. You walked on at a JUCO. Um, so Luke 16 verse 10 talks about whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. So you showed out at a JUCO. You then went to a Division two program. You became the school's first ever first team player, and you debated transferring, but you chose to stay. So why go back and I think you talked about it briefly about your coach, but why was that decision so important to you?
So going back to like when I first got to Emmanuel, um, I don't think I really ever told anyone this, but I had multiple phone calls with my dad the first couple of weeks that I was there, and I said, "Dad, I don't think I belong here." I truly, like selfishly, I thought I was too good to be playing there. I was still a little disappointed about not going to a Division I school, and then that
Hmm.
was the whole plan. I was like, I because I see all my friends that I play with, and I know I'm just as good, some better than, and they're going and playing at Division I schools, and a little bit of jealousy is
Yeah.
there. It truly is,
Hmm.
and I would say I had a really good year. I did have a really good year, and I had many talks about with my parents, like, do I want to leave? Like, is this the best thing that can happen to me? Is that can I do I need to leave? I built a connection with every single person on that team
Hmm.
and with every one of those coaches. And I had full trust in those coaches, and I had full trust in my teammates to
Hmm.
just be there and enjoy it because I had a lot of fun, I would say, in the latter half of the year when I calmed down and was not so much in my head and just playing the game. I didn't even have like a bad first half, but that selfishness kind of went away. And I was like, I got to remember that I just got to have fun playing
Hmm.
this.
Oh yeah,
So it
100%.
it was a hard decision selfishly because obviously we're competitors and we want to play at the highest level that we possibly can.
Of
Like
course.
if you play very well somewhere, I think it's like rightfully thought about. Like
Hmm.
I should go somewhere else to play because
Yeah.
I proved myself here. Now I want to see to not just to other people but to myself that I can play at the next level.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's what made it hard for me. It
And
made
I
it
think,
extremely hard.
yeah, and I think too, what I realized, so I've been at a Division One, I've been at NAIA. What I've realized, I've watched JUCO guys, I've watched D3, D2, I've seen the whole entire spectrum of college baseball, and man, baseball's baseball. Like there's dudes that can ball no matter where you are. There's some dudes on my team that are like, dude, what? These guys are insane. Like how I mean, baseball is baseball, like I said, and baseball will find the game will find you, and you'll see dudes coming out of the pen throwing 92, 94. You got dudes starting that have, they may throw 91, 92, but they got electric stuff. And I just kind of that pride aspect of it, because that's it's when I got to IU Southeast, I had a little bit of that pride in me too, of just, man, I think I'm too good I think I'm too good for this. But man, I was very much humbled. So very, very much humbled. There was dudes on my team. I was not the best player on my team. I was not the best player, um, like outside of my team in our conference. I just really struggled, and also I couldn't really. I struggled to believe in myself. I had gone through tons of anxiety, tons of disappointment, not really sure if I was good enough to play college baseball. But man, I also had to like humble myself and realize you just got to keep going, and day after day, just keep trusting the Lord's plan for you. And that was the hardest thing for me too. Is I was so heartbroken that things weren't working out, that didn't work out at the Division One, that I was like, man, why am I here? Like, I just am a failure. Like, this is the only reason I'm here is because I'm a failure. And then I was like, I need to redeem myself. I need to do better. And I didn't do good. So it's all of it's a process. I'm so much of a better man because of that year. I was around so many people that I learned from, and so many people that taught me how to deal with failure, and people that believed in me whenever I didn't believe in myself. And so I'm very appreciative of the year that I was at IU Southeast. But man, you just got to keep going. That's just the innate nature of baseball.
It
Um,
is, and I think naturally um you need to not try to force things.
yeah.
You kind of just need to let things happen naturally.
Exactly.
And you kind of just stayed with the course.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
100%.
how I felt being there,
Yeah.
is that I just kind of stayed with the course and I didn't want to force anything and be like, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I just kind of played it naturally.
Yeah. So you said a little bit ago how it's always the dream to go play Division One. It's always the dream to make it the highest you possibly can, to be the best you possibly can, and everyone that's the dream. So there eventually became a decision in your career, and you eventually had got a Division One scholarship. So how did that feel, knowing that your dream was finally happening?
It was kind of surreal, to be honest, because it was going to be from me going into my fifth year,
Hmm.
finally getting it, and you're kind of thinking like, I did it.
Yeah.
I did what any kid would ever want to do is to
Hmm.
go play Division 1 baseball. I'm going to get to do it. I'm going to get to play in front of some stadiums, in front of a lot of people, and play in some of those places that you see on TV. And you're
Yeah.
just, I can't believe I'm doing this now. Like I've
Hmm.
earned it.
Yeah.
And that is something that I truly felt like, to me, is something that I was incredibly proud of myself that
Yeah.
I finally did it, because I had a tremendous year at
Hmm.
my last year at my Division 2 at Emmanuel. It
Hmm.
was so good and I did have to make another decision there whether I go back for my fifth year or I go play Division 1. And I was like, I have to try. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't try. If I failed, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I I mean I batted 400. There's not a whole lot more you can prove when you play really well. So I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. Of course.
Very
I
first phone
100%
call I
agree.
get was from Mercer and the head coach there at Mercer. And honestly, it could not have been a more perfect gig for me. I was going to get a full ride scholarship to finish my entire master's program. Uh, Pretty much, I get my master's for free at a very good private school in Georgia. Like, and it's only an hour and a half to 2 hours away from home.
Hmm.
Everything was lining up exactly how I could have envisioned it. Um, I honestly, I couldn't. The day that I went on my visit, I committed that day. I was like, if they're going to give me money, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it right there.
Oh yeah,
And they said, we're
that's
going to
awesome.
pay for everything. And I was like, yes, you don't have
Yeah.
to finish anything that you say. I want to be here. And the coach has a very good reputation. He's been there for a very long time, a lot of
Hmm.
success. He had a Golden Spikes Award winner in 2016 and Kyle Lewis. So
Yeah.
his reputation is pretty high. I
Yeah.
was like, I want to play for you. And
Of course.
this, if you have a reputation of getting people into professional baseball, which after you go Division 1, if you want to keep playing, that's the next step. So I was like,
Hmm.
I do want to keep playing. I want to play as long as I can, if I can. Like if I prove myself here, then I want to go play professional baseball.
Yeah.
And that's what I told them. And so they're like, we can get you into professional baseball. You just gotta like you just gotta perform here. I said, understood. That's all I needed to hear. Where's the dotted line? Let me go.
Hmm.
I want to be
Yeah.
there.
That's awesome, man. That's super cool.
So it was
Um,
literally any kid's dream. Went there in
yeah.
the summer. Uh,
Yeah.
Went there the summer before and stayed there the entire summer. I was still a little smaller. I wasn't super big.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe 185 pounds. And I got there and I was able to put 10 pounds on, like good weight.
Yeah.
I got up to about 190, 95 pounds. Maybe a little too quick. I was probably a little bit slower than I wanted to, but
Yeah.
later on, I filled out, I'd
Yeah.
say. Now
Yeah.
right now I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life.
That's
But
awesome.
they really were able to help me because I never had a true strength and conditioning coach up until then.
Hmm.
Like everything I knew for lifting was through my Olympic weightlifting family. So
Wow, that's
I was doing
awesome.
power cleans and pretty much anything like CrossFit wise, left, right, center. That's all I
Yeah.
was. I didn't start lifting heavy until I got there, and they
I
taught me how
gotcha.
to lift heavy and really get bulky. I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what lifting's like, and I
Yeah.
started to actually enjoy it, and now I love it.
That's awesome. Well, that story is incredible. I mean, you talk about like one like just the power. I think it's so awesome. Like the dudes that start out at JUCO, like you walked out at a JUCO, and now you're getting a full ride at a D1. Like, dude, the dynamic of that is just unreal. And you got to think back and be like, dang, like thank you God for everything you've done to get me here. And obviously, with that story, like after months of fighting the NCAA, they ruled you ineligible for that year. So I
Yes,
mean, like it was almost like this movie, like cookie cut, like where you get everything you wanted, and the next thing you know, it's gone.
that's how it was. It
So
was
how did,
literally one day
yeah.
it was taken
So
away.
so how did you process that disappointment, and did that question your faith in God at all?
I'm gonna be honest. Like I wouldn't necessarily say it question my faith, but in a terrible way to say it, I almost feel like I pushed it aside. And I didn't rely on him.
Hmm.
It's not like I was bashing out at the Lord or just being like, why me? Why me? Why me? I just kind of put it to the side and was like, I need to do everything I can to try to fix this.
Yeah.
Me and my family, we put work in. Like I remember the day I walked in and I sat down and they sat me down and they told me, well, hey, we have bad news. And they told me and I was distraught. Like I couldn't do anything with the team. I couldn't. The only thing I could do with the team was lift. I I couldn't really practice a whole lot. I was able to get at bats some, and like I proved myself in the fall, like playing wise. I batted over 400 in the fall, so I was going to earn myself a spot playing on that team, which hurt me even more because I'm like I'm better than some of these guys. In my opinion, I'm like I'm better. Like I've earned a spot. I can
Hmm.
play here. So now I've done. I'm not even going to get the opportunity to play here to prove to other people. So now what's it going to look like for the next year? But at the time, I was just thinking, what can I do to get my eligibility back? It was me, and there was one other player on our team. He was actually a reliever of the year at Georgia Tech.
Wow.
And so me
Yeah.
and him were in the same exact boat. Same
Yeah.
exact boat. And we're working our tails off, trying to get our eligibility starting back from it was like the middle or early October that we found out. And so we're working our tails off to get it back all the way in the fall. And whenever the start of I'd say the start of December hit, it started to really not look good that we weren't going to get it.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, one guy shaped a lot of stuff, and it was Diego Pavia
Hmm. Yeah.
from Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
When he filed his uh, I forget the technical name of it, but whenever he filed his, it opened up the door for a lot of people because I
Yeah.
know players who played at the University of West Georgia who were Division two players going into their fifth year. West Georgia actually that year went to Division one.
Yeah.
So there were four or five other players in the exact same boat as me, going from D2 to Division one. And every single time that we would file something to the NCAA, that's the exact reason that they said is if you were to play Division two, we could count it. But since you're playing Division one baseball, we're not going to allow you to play, which makes zero sense. And I can't explain
Yeah.
to anybody why. All you can say is the NCAA was just, it almost felt like they were picking and choosing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's unfortunate. And all those rules, I mean, that situation with Pavia, it's just there's so many things that go into it, and it's unfair to some guys. Like, dang, I mean,
It really is.
you lost that what could have been in that year, you'll never know. And you can't
Mm-hmm.
do anything about it because it was almost like just like taken away from you. Like you didn't go and try, and then you're okay with the outcome. It's just gone.
That's it.
And I think that's the hardest thing. I think for me, that would be extremely tough to understand why. Like it almost felt like to me it seems like it was like being teased a little bit. Like, oh, you want this? Like, oh, here it is. And then next thing you know, it's like, nope, you don't get it. Like that would change me. That would hurt me. And I think I would struggle with my faith a little bit. But honestly, I think God has God's plan is very specific. And if we follow his will, it will be good. And I think understanding that and really doubling down in that fact of trusting in him, trusting his plan for us, man, nothing is going to look like a straight line. There's going to be adversity our way.
Mm-hmm. I
And
hate I hate using like describing myself and putting myself in Job's feet. I
yeah,
hate doing
I
that
get
because
it. I
I'm
get it.
not like obviously I didn't get enough taken away to be compared to Job. But
Hmm.
that's the only way that I could describe it is that stuff that you so desperately worked for and so desperately wanted is just snatched away from you for
Yeah,
no good reason. And
right.
it's really just a test.
Yeah, of course. And Tim Tebow talks about that too of like the most he's suffered. He said, unfortunately, the most I have ever suffered in this world was through a sport. So,
Yeah.
like, you take perspective on that and realize, dude, there's so many people's problems that are so much bigger than mine. Like, talk about Job, lost his family, got sick, lost everything, lost his wealth, everything, lost it all. And I mean, it's important to you for sure. That last year of baseball was extremely important. It's not devaluing that worth, but it's also giving yourself perspective of, man, like, I'm blessed in so many other ways. And so that
Hmm.
actually leads me into my next question is, so how did God begin teaching you that maybe I don't know if you maybe thought that your baseball career was over or anything like that. So how did God begin teaching you there that your identity was bigger than baseball and bigger than this moment?
To be honest, it took me a little bit longer. I went through an extremely difficult period of my life in that year. From November, or I'd say from December up until May, I was I would be up till 3 or 4 in the morning staring at the ceiling because I couldn't sleep. Um, I would get frustrated with every little thing that went on that happened in my life because I mean, like it was just hard to function. I was doing the same things every single day. I'd wake up early. I'd get 3 hours of sleep max. I'd go to the gym, and then I would have I would do my school online, and then I would go to the field and be with the team. But I could not practice by myself, or I couldn't practice with the team. I had to practice with myself. That was
Yeah.
it. I had to go ask the coach, "Hey, can you throw to me?" And in
Yeah.
that time, like they would love to, but they were also busy wrapped up in a season.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like in their minds, they're like, I would love, like personally, I would love to make time for you, but I just can't. I have to focus on this team, but I can't focus on you.
Man, and
So
that kind of like because you're on the team and being with the guys that fall and experience because I grew like this past fall I've grown so close with everyone. Man, you're being around those guys all day, and next thing you know, the spring comes around and it's like, oh yeah, I can throw to you or I can do this for you, but you're not a priority anymore. Like
mhm.
it used to be in it, and you kind of feel
I
like
had
you're
a full
alone.
ride scholarship. I was a
Yeah,
priority.
yeah,
Like, and now
exactly.
it's just no, you're just kind of swooshed off.
Yeah, for sure.
And so
And
that
that's
was something that was incredibly hard.
oh yeah,
I haven't told many people, um, but I ended up going and talking to a therapist for a little bit. And to be honest, I did not go for the right reason because at that point we were trying to sue the NCAA.
yeah,
We were at this point we weren't gonna talking about like, hey, give me my year back anymore. It was you are hurting me and I want repercussions.
yeah.
I didn't even mention that my teammate actually got the year back
Oh,
and
so
I
the guy
didn't.
in the same boat with you got the year back and you didn't.
He got his year back and I didn't. And
Oh
all
my.
those people at West Georgia, they got their year back and I didn't.
Okay.
There was only one other person that I know didn't get their year back, and it was Alberta Osuna at Tennessee.
Okay.
Um,
Was there a specific quality or a specific reason as to why or you just
no,
never know? Like you just don't know?
my teammate was told that he was misadvised from Georgia Tech, which I used the exact same reasoning because if I was allowed in the transfer portal. I got many phone calls from other Division I schools. So like obviously those people thought that I would be eligible. So it honestly it was cherry picking from the NCAA.
Yeah.
They didn't they dug themselves into a hole and they used their big power of like I'm the big bad NCAA and I'm just gonna make the rules because I
Yeah.
can. And so
That's just
that made it even
unfortunate.
harder because I got an old teammate that's sitting there who did the same thing I did and he got it and I didn't.
Yeah. And
And so I
that'd be hard for me to understand. And because now you're not just with, I was about to say, like you're in that, I think it makes it easier being in the same boat with another person. So you
mm,
have someone that understands your struggle.
well I didn't even like I said I didn't go originally. I didn't go see a therapist because I felt like I was doing terrible.
Hmm.
I didn't feel myself, but I wanted to have evidence that I was hurting. So I went to see a therapist for a couple months,
Yeah.
trying to like have proof if we were going to sue and say, hey, you have screwed me up mentally.
Hmm.
That was going to
Oh
be
wow.
our that was what we were going to use. So, truthfully, I did not go originally for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I did it. And I stopped going when the NCAA finally just said, we are done talking to you. Like, this is done. And
Yeah.
so I was so upset with everything that I stopped going to see my therapist.
Yeah.
And probably, honestly, at the time that I needed it the most, I
Yeah.
stopped seeing and stopped
And
talking to him.
Psalm 34 verse 18 talks about the Lord being close to the brokenhearted and saving those who are crushed in spirit. So I mean, even after that time, I mean, it's hard to understand and process everything, but being broken after everything, it's easy to be like, but God is with you through that time. And maybe he felt close, maybe he felt far, but I think just reestablishing your faith and as a child of God and your position as a messenger for Christ and as a Christian, it can kind of ground you and give you some perspective on your life. But I mean, you were given some redemption with the Utica Unicorns in the USPBL, and you earned first team all league honors. So I mean, what a turnaround! Like you knew it was going to happen. That you were good. I mean, you hit 400 that fall. You're a good player. You can really play. So what did that redemption mean to you once you finally got back on the field? And what did that experience teach you about strengthening your faith and having a perspective on God's timing?
Well, God's timing didn't come until I'd say towards the end of the season, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Um, I originally was planning on trying to, my agent and I were talking about, we were trying to go play in the draft league
Okay.
uh, instead of the USPBL. But they would not let me come play because I didn't play that year. I had zero at bats under my belt, and they were like, "We saw that you did good last year, but we're not gonna just have somebody come in who didn't play because it's not fair to some other people like that show that they performed this year."
Yeah.
So we are like, I honestly I understand, still a little disappointed, and so I took the only opportunity I got. It was with the Utica Unicorns in the USPBL, and I was batting, I'd say 430 after the first month or so. I was doing extremely well,
Pretty solid.
and I I was impressed with myself. I felt like I was on doing what I was meant to do. I was like, finally, I'm back doing this, what I love to do. Everything is going well.
Hmm.
And then I got a call from my agent saying that the draft league wants me to come play for them now. And this team wanted me to come play for them. And I was like, absolutely. Like this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I was given an opportunity and I did well in the opportunity given to me. Now I can go play
Yeah.
where I where we originally wanted to. I proved myself. Um, the USPBL though would not let me go play. I was told that I feel like it's unfair to us to let you go play. And as an organization, as a I can understand that.
Yeah. From a
Me
business side,
personally though,
sure.
me personally though, I took it offensive a little bit and I took it the wrong way and I started to decline a little bit.
Hmm.
But I still played well, I would say.
Yeah.
I just didn't do as good as I did that first month. Obviously it's hard to keep it up, but I still was not there mentally because I was frustrated with everything that had happened in the year past.
Yeah.
Plus, on top of that, that just happened. And then another big thing that happened was the coaches at Mercer pulled my scholarship for the rest of uh, the master's program. There was the
Wow.
entire deal was for me to play or was for me to have my entire master's paid for.
Hmm.
So that they told me to not take as many classes to focus on baseball and they'll pay for it. You can do it online when you're done. I said, okay. And I had conversations with my coach and he said that they're going to have to pull my scholarship. And I honestly didn't know how to react. Again, it was another thing where things upon things just keep piling up from the year. And I just kind of then still felt like I was targeted and my year kind of kept going down and down and down and down. So I ended up really falling into a state of mental health that was terrible.
Hmm.
I remember it specifically. There was a game. My dad and his buddies came up to watch me play in Detroit, and I had a actual uh, I would say I had a anxiety attack, a panic attack, however you want to describe it as. I had it while I was having an at bat. I remember it so vividly, just randomly. It just seemed like everything that had piled on just hit me.
Yeah.
I was shaking. I could not take the bat off my shoulders because I was shaking and I was breathing so incredibly hard.
Hmm.
Um, Luckily for me, in that at bat, I walked. I didn't have to swing the bat. But I remember my heart was racing again. I was sweating. Everything that you see or hear about when someone's having a panic attack, that's exactly what happened. And I never thought I would ever have something like that happen to me.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, I'm a baseball player. I'm on top of the world doing all this, playing what I want to do. I'm living the dream, getting paid to play a sport in front
Yeah.
of thousands of people some nights. Like everything is going right. And then the second that things start going wrong and you didn't talk about it with anybody, they all get piled on and you start to it all hits you at the exact same time and it
Hmm.
hurts and it really
Yeah.
hurts and it scares you. And I remember I was going back to the dugout just anytime something didn't go my way, whether it was even if it was just a strike call that I knew wasn't a strike and they called it a strike, I would get so incredibly ticked off and so mad that I would be throwing stuff. I'd be in the corner, like squishing my helmet together because I was so frustrated with everything that was going on.
Hmm.
And I remember the very, very last night that my dad and his friends were there, my dad told me that I needed to stop acting out like I was in the dugout. He said people can see that. And it was just me and him. And as a man, I broke down. I cried and I cried and I cried to my dad because I had finally let it all out to him. And at this time, I finally was seeing a therapist on my own terms, and I didn't tell my parents. And it was at that time that I told my dad that I was seeing a therapist, and then I just broke down to him, broke down, and everything started to feel a bit of a relief. That exact same night, I got a call from my coach, that head coach at Utica, and told me that if I needed to go home, then he then it's okay. And I told him that I wanted to stick it out
Yeah.
because he could tell something was wrong. And I don't know why, but my dad sat there and told me that everything's going to be okay. He told me that Jesus will be with you. He is still here with you, and you just have to rely on him
Hmm.
and you have to be able to talk to people. And I was still breaking down because it hurt so incredibly much that it just was overwhelming.
Yeah. So how did you lean on God throughout that whole process of kind of getting back on the field after the panic attack and after all this had gone down?
I would say I used other people to help guide me through the Lord, especially my girlfriend. I've been with my girlfriend for almost 5 years now, and using her to be able to like to talk it
Yeah.
over and being her, she is very um, Christian based as well. Just having somebody else talk to me about Christ and reminding you that Jesus is with you and that he's literally right there with you, and all you
Hmm.
have to do is speak to him.
Yeah.
Like that, those little things can really move you, especially whenever you just realize that he does nothing but love you, and that all of his love is going right to you.
Hmm.
So it's a relief whenever you have somebody else that's there to tell you that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's you telling yourself is not enough to convince you because obviously you have demons and
Yes.
in those times of crisis you have
Of
demons with
course.
you and like demons are in there around you telling you like yourself that you're not enough, and then you have somebody else tell you, hey, you are enough, but you're only enough with the Lord.
Awesome.
When you have
Yes.
someone sit there and tell you that is close to you, that's important to you, even your best friend that you call and that like and you break down to, and he's sitting there and tells you to trust in the Lord,
Hmm.
it's a relief.
Yeah.
It takes all the stress and all the pressure all the weight off your shoulders, and you just kind of relax
Yeah.
and remember that what you're put there to do.
100%. And I think Jesus hurts when we hurt. He wants a relationship with us, and he wants us to know him like he knows us. And just having that genuine connection, that relationship with him, I think that takes a lot of stress away. It takes the fear of the unknown, the uncertainty that comes with things that you may not understand. And I mean, even it talks about in the Bible, you won't understand now, but you will later. And even the Lord talks about how He's doing new things every day, and those things are good. And so, I mean, when we face uncertainty, when we face those trials and those tribulations, leading on Jesus is is what we need to do. Sometimes it needs to be our first response. And Chase Johnson talked about this was the guy I interviewed last episode. Um he goes to High Point and he's a basketball player there. He talks about being in constant prayer with the Lord. I mean, it's a relationship. It's we don't call the doctor when we're feeling bad or when we're feeling good. We only call him when we're feeling bad. But Jesus wants us to call him when we're feeling good as well. And even in Psalm 27, verse 14, it talks about waiting for the Lord and being strong and taking heart and waiting for the Lord and waiting for his plans for us. So I mean that's awesome. And I completely agree having that fellowship with Christ because when there's even talks about if there's two and three in communion or gathering for me, then I will be there, is what Jesus says. So that's just awesome, man. I mean, being dragged out of that pit, that's such a hard place to be because I've also been there. I've had that uncertainty. I've had people wrong me in my college career, but I've also had people help me and propel me to be the best that I can be. But inevitably, Jesus is watching over me. He is with me, like you said, and taking that knowledge and just understanding that he's there. It makes us more okay with the outcomes that we may experience and the failure that we may experience because we can handle that adversity and understand that Jesus has a plan for our lives. So that's awesome, man. I mean, what a story. So I would say this, I'll leave you with this. What would you say to athletes who feel like their dream was delayed or taken from them? And how can you lean on God when things like that happen?
I would say to somebody, I feel like this works for me because it's almost like I can go back and tell myself something like
Hmm.
year, year and a half ago. Like
Yeah.
almost a question, what would I tell myself? And I think the question that I would tell myself is that your hard work and that your love for something matters. And whether that means that you are done playing the sport or you're like you personally are done with something, then that does not mean that you cannot uh, pour your heart out into somebody else who
Yes.
really enjoys something.
Exactly.
Especially in a sport like baseball. This fall, I've been able to be a coach for in my off season. I've been able to coach 13, 14 year olds on a on an FCA based team.
Mm,
And I've been able to do devotions and I've been able to teach little kids about the Lord and my own experiences and how I understand the game. So I can find something else to or somebody else to spread love and spread the word through
mm.
in something that I also enjoy.
Yeah, of
So
course.
if I had to say that to somebody, I would say try to find the love through something else.
Yeah,
Like or not through a different activity, but try to find your way in that thing that you love.
yeah.
Just go through a different door.
Like different aspect of
Yes.
what you love. Yes, I completely agree. And I think this outlet for me of being able to start this podcast doing the rest of the days. That's been my version of finding peace in some of the uncertainty and some of the questions that I had about why did that happen to me? Why did that have to go down the way that I didn't want it to? I wanted to be a great at Eastern Kentucky. I wanted to have a great season last year. None of those things didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would have started this if everything went just the way I wanted it to. And so I'm just completely leaning on God and his plan for me. And I think that you can be a testament of that too, as well as, man, we're given things that mold us into the people that he wants us to be and to make you stronger people. And having to not deal with any failure doesn't make you appreciate the success that comes next.
That's
So,
very true.
um, but yeah, man, that's all I really got. But thank you so much for coming on here, man. If you got anything else to say, you got the floor.
Well, I don't really know if I have much else to say.
Yeah,
Um, but I appreciate you having me on.
of
Any
course, man.
that's why I posted that TikTok video was I felt I didn't know when was a time to kind of try to tell my story in a
Hmm.
way. And then I told my dad, so I was up at night when I made that TikTok. I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
of
doing it.
course.
Like you're just like you're kind of sitting in bed. You're like, I know why my mind is running. I'm making this TikTok video. I'm doing it right
Hmm.
now. I posted it. I wake up like a couple thousand views and they keep climbing. I think right now it's at like 30,000 views or something,
Hmm.
which to me it's insane.
Yeah,
Like
no, that is nuts.
thinking like that, like 30 different views, that's crazy. But
Hmm.
then I get a message from you that says, "Hey, I would like you to come on here and you can spread your testimony and your story through this." And I'm like, people like hearing this, or like people like hearing these kind of stories, hear
For
your story.
sure. If
And
it
then
can
it
save
makes you
somebody's
feel
life,
better.
it
Yes.
can save
It
somebody's life.
makes you feel better. You're like, okay, well, that means I'm not alone in
Hmm.
this for
Yeah,
sure. And I'm just glad that it almost feels like the Lord told me to just post it.
that's awesome,
It
man.
sounds cliche,
Sure.
but you're like, you always have those voices. You're
Yeah.
like, just do it. And it's something like that is something that I feel like can only come from God.
Exactly, man. And I completely agree of like it may sound cliche, but I felt so called to start doing videos versus the day videos. I felt so called to make this podcast. I made this in a day. It was after my testimony and I was like, I want to make a testimonial podcast series about athletes coming on and spreading their story like I did. And then it all came together in one day. Speak from the Heart's pretty cliche name, pretty generic name, but man, it just hit. It stuck. And I'm like, I'm trusting in God's plan with this. Maybe this is his purpose for me. Maybe it's something that he wants me to do to lead me to something else. I'm just trusting in it. And I think that's the most important thing. And I wish you the absolute best of luck. And I know that Jesus is going to be with you wherever you go. Just walking his steps with him. And man, if you ever face that adversity, I need to take this with me too. Is just my first person I need to call is Jesus. That's gonna be the
Mm-hmm.
first guy I need to call. But yeah, Thomas, I really appreciate you coming on here, man. If that's all you got, then we'll just wrap it up.
All right. Yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you inviting
Of
me on.
course, man. Of course, man. Well, thank you all for watching Speak from the Heart, and come back next Sunday for the next episode.